want to do that, you have to have insight, you have to be faithful to the truth. And then you could understand coronavirus. And my view is that Dajjal is at work in coronavirus. And that huge numbers of Arabs will die as prophesied by the Prophet ﷺ. One of the most important functions of a scholar of Islam is to read and to understand the world in that stage of history in which he lives, in that stage of the historical process in which he lives. So if you are a scholar of Islam alive today, we expect you to be able to read and understand using the Qur'an, using the truth which Allah has sent, and using not only these eyes, but this eye as well, the internal eye, the nur that Allah gives to you. The world today is like a river in a huge flood with dangerous currents in it. He must be able to recognize that the world today is like a swollen and a dangerous river. He must be able to recognize all the dangerous currents in the river. He must be able to recognize so many people are drowning, who are in danger of drowning. He must be able to go in that river and save the people. You can't do that if you want to have a backbone to be politically correct. You can't do that if you want to stay with the flock of scholars of Islam who are asleep. If you want to do that, you have to have insight, you have to be faithful to the truth. And then you could understand coronavirus. That's right, in Akhirul Zaman, when the last stage of history comes, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam said it, and they know it. It was the Ghazwat Tabuk, the war of Tabuk. And he was sitting in a leather tent. This is a hadith of Sahih Bukhari. And he said, count 6 things before the end of the world, the Sa'ah. Amongst the 6, he said, Thumma Mutan. And then he said, there will be a plague. يَأْخُذُ فِيكُمْ كَنُعَاسِ الْغَنَمِ. There will be a plague, meaning an epidemic, and it will kill you in large numbers the way it kills sheep. This is what he said. This is one of his prophecies. So Akhirul Zaman is a time when there will be epidemics. And in the epidemic today, we have the coronavirus, which is just attacked. And one of the functions of the scholars of Islam today, if you are able to read the world correctly, is to offer an insight and offer an explanation and say, Allah knows best. That's right, just say it, Allah knows best. You can be right, you can be wrong, but you must at least come forward and offer an explanation, which is what I'm doing. And my view is that Dajjal is at work in coronavirus, the one who wants to rule the world from Jerusalem. So he has to have a Pax Judaica, which will replace Pax Americana, the way Pax Americana replaced Pax Britannica. You know, the three. Pax Britannica, Pax Americana, Pax Judaica, so that Israel can rule the world. And Allah speaks of this in Surah Al-Mursalat. And when we interpret the Qur'an, only Allah can confirm that it is correct. But we must make the effort to interpret. Don't be afraid. Have some backbone. Intaliku ba'adawuzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Intaliku ila zillin dhi thalasi shab. Proceed now to that shadow which will come upon the world. A shadow which will have 3 parts. In my opinion, and Allah knows best. These are the three parts. In order for a Pax Judaica to replace Pax Americana, in order for Israel to become the ruling state in the world, the population of Arabs, this is Muslim and Christian Arabs which surround Israel, has to be substantially reduced. You cannot reduce that population substantially through warfare, because you'll get a very bad name. You can use warfare to take control of territory, which is what Israel is going to do. But in order to substantially reduce the population and not be blamed for it, you need something called biological warfare. What I am explaining is what they can do. They can explain the same thing, but they would not speak. I don't know. I don't know. I've now given up. I have given up. I've stopped trying with them. Let them go their way and I'll go mine. Okay? I've tried for 20, 30 years with them now, but they're just stuck in concrete. So brother, goodbye. I'm going my way. You go yours. This is what is happening today. They are using the coronavirus, in my opinion, it is a trial run. And they're using it with the most populous nation in the world, the Chinese. And they're using it to see how China will respond to control it, and how the World Health Organization in Geneva will respond to control it. And so they are monitoring the coronavirus, exquisite monitoring going on at this time. Those who want to rule the world from Jerusalem. That's what they're doing while this corona, of course, they're the ones who planted it in the first place. I have no doubt about that. Dajjal uses Gog and Magog to commit facade, spread facade all over the world. And so the coronavirus has to be located in biological warfare in Akhir Zaman. That is my statement. We know that our Prophet said, Allah's blessings be upon him, 1400 years ago. He said, when a plague takes place, if you are located in that place where the plague is spreading, do not leave. And if you are outside, do not enter. It's called quarantine. And he said this 1400 years ago, quarantine. And now the world has picked up that same system of quarantine. And so the important thing that they are doing now is monitoring the Chinese government to see how does the Chinese government respond to this epidemic of the coronavirus. And secondly, how does the world respond? What is the World Health Organization in Geneva doing? The second thing that is important for us is that to recognize that the Arabs are going to be wiped out by plague. Our Prophet ﷺ has spoken, and I've just given you the hadith from Sahih Bukhari about Mutan, a plague which will kill you the way sheep are killed. These are one of the six that he mentioned, six things, the hadith, which was at the time of the Ghazwat Tabuk. So the Arabs are the ones who have to be most concerned about coronavirus. And that is that every Arab government, you should all be sending monitors to monitor how the Chinese government is dealing with this problem. How can they contain it? See how the Chinese government is operating, and learn from what they are doing, their mistakes, and will they correct things. Check to see how the World Health Organization is responding to it. Because tomorrow, after the trial runs are over, tomorrow the plague is going to hit the Arab world. And they will want to ensure that you are not prepared for it, and that huge numbers of Arabs will die as prophesied by the Prophet ﷺ. And so for the whole world of Islam, yes, it is important. But coronavirus is far, far more important for the Arab world, because this is Akhiru Zaman, and in Akhiru Zaman there is a prophecy of a virus attack on the Arab world which will kill huge numbers of Arabs.